Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have quite an eventful day to unpack. Israel obviously being the main headline after attacking Iran and sending all markets lower, with the exception of gold. Gold is reacting very positively to that news, but we'll get into all of that shortly. Second main headline, Shopify partnering with Coinbase to offer crypto payments with USDC. Third news, also to do with Coinbase, now announcing DEX and perps trading to come soon. We also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs, and a discussion on the stablecoin market. Today, Brad is joining me in the co-host seat, and we are almost ready to get into it. But before we do that, just to remind the friends that nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is extremely risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Brad, how are you doing on this wonderful Friday?
I was better until I saw your tweet this morning. As you know, as most of the audience knows, I'm not someone who wades in the waters of geopolitics. So like I've heard the rumblings, I've seen this stuff in the background. I saw your tweet of like Kaito just getting destroyed basically on the chart. And I feel like ever since I first dipped my toes in perps, it's been this like Schrodinger's chart where every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's actually not so bad right now. It's holding up strength. It's been doing okay. And the second I look away, like I go to sleep or anything, the ass falls out of the thing. So that happened again. And like, I have to go now and check my liquidation levels and stuff. This maintenance that I'm not used to because I just wanted to buy some effing spot, and they only offered perps on Hyperliquid, so I'm goofing around with perps. Yeah, but other than that, things are good. I'm actually looking at adopting a dog, so like we've been doing a lot of research with that. Yeah. So that's the life update.
What kind of breed are you looking into?
We're just looking at adopting. So like we're not really super picky, but medium-sized dog, some Australian Shepherds, some Catahoula mixes, some like whatever. As long as it's not like a pit, or like some of these, like they're labeled as aggressive dogs. I know they're not aggressive. My mom's a dog groomer. Like I've had all this stuff. My other half, she's been a rescuer for 15 years. Like we're not afraid of these types of dogs, but it's just kind of a pain in the ass when you're renting to have dogs that people are scared of.
Yeah.
So trying to avoid some of that.
Definitely want to get a dog as well. Probably not this year, because this year is like so pretty heavy on traveling, so I don't want to do that. But pretty excited to hear that, because I've been doing my research as well. Medium size for me as well, but breed wise, I am not entirely sure where I want to go.
Yeah, as long as it's calm. Like, because I'm gonna be working, like I'm at my computer all fucking day, so it needs to hang out with me and sit in the back, do whatever, and then like we'll go for a walk or a run or like down to the farmer's market, something like that at the end. And then obviously, like girl likes to go camping and shit on the weekend, so we wanted someone that can come and chill with us, out in the hikes, lay around in a tent or a hammock or whatever. So it'll be hard to find. We already turned down one because it wasn't perfect. We'll continue to do that. Got to find the right combo stuff so everyone's happy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Out of the breeds that I've been looking into, the Samoyed, those like fluffy white ones.
Jesus. I don't want hair. My mom, like I said, my mom's a dog groomer / breeder / shower. So I have nightmares still of going to high school with hair all over my clothes and like getting made fun of. Like that was my existence. So I'm trying to minimize hair exposure right now.
That's fair. Funky, your hand is up, going straight to you, and then we have to get into the price action, into the meat of the show.
GM, you guys are crypto bros. You must get shibs. Like Aaron and I have already decided our next dog is going to be a shib. Medium-sized dog. And it looks so friendly.
Yeah, they look friendly, but they're pretty stubborn creatures. Like many of the Japanese breeds, actually. Anyhow, with that out of the way, let's get started with the show. As usual, with the price action. First, bit of a red day, obviously. Bitcoin is down 2.5% at almost 105K. Doesn't look too bad given the headlines. ETH, however, is down 8%, 2.5K.
Yeah, let's look at the damage here. What, like, okay. So on the day, okay, no, that's the 1 minute. That 1 day, okay, yeah, we're getting a little beat up. ETH, man, ETH keeps it. Did you see the SBET stuff yesterday?
Yeah, I did. Do you want to explain what was going on with that?
Yeah, like, so I'm coming out of it a little, like just trying to keep up. So, you know, SBET, strategic bet on Ethereum, led by Joe Lubin, who's one of the original founders of Ethereum, tried to be a Ethereum reserve, similar to, you know, MicroStrategy for Bitcoin. It's like it was this big old thing. Well, quarterly reports came out, and like whether or not this is what actually led to it or not, but this is how the timeline materialized and what everyone's blaming it on. The reports, the earnings came out on it, or they saw the stock IPO documents, and they interpreted it based on like there was basically just a chart or a table that said like, hey, these are all the shares that everyone owns. And I forgot how Joe Lubin described it, but he said like, if we were to sell everything, then we would own zero. Like, this is what's eligible to be sold. It's some regulatory requirement for actually doing the IPO process. And everyone saw this table and interpreted it as like everyone who had the ability to dump absolutely dumped their stuff, and they now have zero shares of this thing. So after hours hits, and the stock, which was trading at a little bit of a premium, went from like $34 to like $10. Like it dumped 75%. So
down $32, 70% to $10. Yes.
Jesus, is it still at that now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
the market is down at $10.60, so still down 67%.
Yeah. So people were trying to do the math of like, since this thing is supposed to be just a bet on Ethereum, the underlying, and like that was its whole purpose. Like, okay, there is some math that you can do to say like X amount that you buy of our or SBET at X dollars is worth Ethereum at Y dollars, right? And they're still doing some of that math to see like if it's a deal to buy some of that now, just like using some of the financial wizardry to figure that out. But yeah, so Joe Lubin came forward, and like the people on Consensus, and said, no one knows what the hell they're talking about. They're sharing this thing and spreading a bunch of crazy, dunking on Ethereum stuff, but we have not sold a single share. We still have this thing. It's just a filing requirement to actually do this. And there's just a lot of drama in the Ethereum world.
Yeah, excellent breakdown on that. Question is, would you buy a sharp link there though?
I need to see what that math is. I don't know. So based on just like, if that is the actual understanding or thing that led to this pricing, where it's like literally just people don't understand what the hell they're looking at, and they got scared out of this thing, then like, yes, of course, assuming the market demand was $34 whenever they understood it the previous way, and like that hasn't changed fundamentally. Everything is still the exact same. It's just now 75% off. Like on that level, yeah, sure, I would buy it. But I don't know what $34 represents in Ethereum world. Like if $34 was 3,400 Ethereum, then like $3,400 Ethereum, then like, no, I'm not buying that. That's a premium. That's stupid. I have access to Ethereum. Yeah. If $7 SBET is equal to $700 Ethereum, like, yeah, of course I'm buying that. There's a clear arb there, but I don't understand that actual connection. So I need to see some of the information come out.
Yeah, that's the math we need to have on that. But I think it's interesting because it kind of shows that with those treasury companies, the people trading them, maybe with the exception of strategy, because that's way bigger, are definitely the more, I would say, crypto native or crypto-esque types of traders. And we see similar price actions to alts and memes, that we trade things we don't fully understand and move prices very aggressively.
I had seen some speculation that like with more of these, because like we're seeing a treasury company announced basically every other day at this point, whether it's a Solana one or Ethereum one. I saw the Solana, the Solana guy bought some Hyperliquid, like 10,000 hype yesterday, Bitcoin, whatever. And a lot of the speculation is, or observation is, because most of them are trading at a premium, is that all of these treasury companies are trading at a premium to the actual underlying, which is like for every dollar of a Solana reserve or Solana treasury you're buying on the stock market, you're actually getting like 70 cents of actual Solana on the back end, or sometimes as steep as like 50 cents of Solana on the back end. So it's like almost a 2-to-1. So the observation by a lot of people is that like, well, if this is going to be the thing, there's a clear arb there for sophisticated investors. it behooves people inside of the industry from going and creating a lot of these treasury companies, because why the hell wouldn't they? And then dumping their tokens on people at an instant 2x. Like, of course, like if I have $10 million worth of a Solana hype, whatever, and I want to dump it for an instant 20 mil, like spin up this treasury company and instantly dump it on people that are willing to, like, that don't have crypto exposure. And they don't want to do it through ETFs or whatever, because they don't understand what it is, or they think it's better to have a leveraged position on it than just a standard spot position through an ETF. So we may see a lot of this going forward.
Very much agree with that. And I think we need to see one of those bigger treasuries go south for that hype to die down a bit. But circling, but
I say maybe it's the Ponzi of this. Like we've always been looking for, like, what's the Ponzi that's going to lead to the bubble and ultimate, like, demise of this run. Maybe this, like, these treasuries is ultimately it. We just get more and more leveraged positions on top of a lot of these underlying, and eventually someone's getting a little too squirrely with it and get liquidated, or the treasury is just going to blow up and then creates a cascade.
Yeah, it's not unlikely to see that happen. I think if it's one of the, like, more medium-sized players in the market could absorb that. Hopefully it's not going to be something like obviously strategy, but also like GameStop, who's like more and more aggressive about accumulating that, which the stock price
they announced
like yesterday. The stock was down on that announcement.
Yeah.
Circling back to the price action, where were we? So we had ETH obviously being down 8%, XRP down 5%, BNB down 2%, Solana down 9%, and then Hyperliquid basically unfazed by what's going on. Hyperliquid is still at $40. It's down only 1.9%. It's still up 15% over the week. That is, if we look at the weekly performance, what do we have? BTC is up 1, ETH up 1.5%, BNB at 1.7. It's absolutely unreal. SUI, contrasting that, it's down 8% over the last 24 hours, down 2% in the week. But Hype is absolutely unreal. Still holding the $40. It did dip to like 37-ish. I bought it like 38 in the morning, but it's insane how strong this is.
I chose the wrong token to experiment with perps on. I should have done it on Hype and not Kaito. That is my bad.
Looking at the meme side of things, not unsurprisingly, a red day here as well. Doge is down 7%, SHIB is down 7%, Pepe down 13%, SPX Mort's coin down 22%, Bonk down 11%, Fartcoin down 17%, Dog with Hat down 13%. You get the picture. Everything is down between 10 and 20%, with a couple of exceptions. Just scrolling to see if there is an outlier there, and obviously there is one. It is Aura. Aura just went up in a straight line to 180 mil, is now trading at 163 mil, up 19,000%.
Binance crime family.
Yep. And up 4% over the last 24 hours. So that is the only green exception in the meme market.
Yeah, that was like, I saw the tweets around that thing. So like, I don't have exposure to it. Actually, like Namik on our team, he had bought that way back whenever like Aura actually was a token that was moving around, just because he liked the name of it. And this thing has been dead for like, I don't know, weeks or months, but it's like the chart looks egregious, right? It saw 2 waves of actual growth, and then just been flatlined for a couple weeks or whatever now, and then out of nowhere, just ridiculous. Yeah, when was this thing actually moving? Back in November of 24. So what is that, 6 months, 7 months ago? And then just gets listed like, on.
Yeah. And then it flatlined, as you said. It was dead. It was at 0.001 for the last.
What kind of volume are we looking at? $100,000 in volume?
400K, 40K, 80K. Yeah, a bit less, a bit shy of 100K a day. And obviously, yeah.
And then Binance lists it and it skyrockets.
And we have 60 mil of 24-hour volume. That's unreal. Yeah.
Crazy.
Moving on.
You can't compete with that.
Yeah, absolutely no. You can't compete with the Binance listings and the Binance push. Moving on into the main headlines. We said at the top of the show, Israel attacking Iran is sending all markets lower. Shopify partners with Coinbase to offer crypto payments with USDC. And then also the third piece of news, Coinbase related, announcing a DEX and perp trading to come soon. In terms of some notable price action, we said it, Aura went up to 180 mil, trading at 160 now. The main DEX on Base. Aero is up 15% to $1 billion FTV. And we also said that SPX and Fartcoin both down 15%. SPX now actually down more than 20%. Brett, you want to get in?
Yeah, how do you feel about Aero there? Like Base basically having an opinion on like choosing their DEX, right? Like Aerodrome is the one it's been leading mostly on Base. I have some Aero, like the actual token. I've had it for a while, thinking it would be the winning DEX on the chain. So it was kind of like a directional bet on the chain. Yeah, how do you think about that? Like them integrating a specific one on the front end as opposed to like an aggregator pulling in all DEXs and making something work?
Honestly, don't have a strong opinion on that. I had Aero exposure throughout the first season of virtuals, and back then I found it a bit weird that everything is like so focused on Aero, and some of the aggregators weren't routing through Aero, and that made trading some of the virtuals hard. That situation is, from what I understand, different now, but I don't have any token exposure. And apart from just doing some of the virtuals launches these days, I'm not really active anymore on Base.
Yeah.
Do you have a stronger thesis there?
No, I just saw people commenting on it. I think like just like this entire space is so diluted with options that like I think that's actually part of the scary thing that we all have to deal with, right? Like you go to a website and you do a swap. Just like we're going to talk about the USDC integration on Base, and it's like even in that process, there's a little ticker that says, "Oh, there's 480 wallets that we support," and it's like on the Base network that's going to eventually expand to like 9 different networks, and it's just like, yeah, sometimes it's less is more kind of a thing. So I think it's probably the best strategic move for their platform. But I think obviously it could be very intimidating or dissuading for competing teams. Like if Aerodrome's picked as the winner, then like why the fuck would I try to build a DEX on Base? But also like, do we need another DEX? We have 1,000 of them already. Like maybe like who gives a shit, right? Yeah. It's just when you're building an ecosystem, you have to think about that kind of stuff.
Are you thinking about that at Mega?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of already done something similar to that, right? Like we're using the accelerator and we're taking opinionated bets on teams that we think can deliver superior products. Like that can be intimidating to other people because we've shown like we're going to support certain teams stronger than others because, you know, we've literally spent a year with these people, help them raise. Like there's a lot more buy-in from both sides to make it succeed, and we think they're going to stick around with us if things get tough. So yeah, I think it's probably the more appropriate approach. I think people are tired of like the neutral positioning that like everyone has in the Ethereum ecosystem of like everyone gets a grant, no one support anyone, like credibly neutral, don't have an opinion. So I think it's probably the right move.
I agree. Like if you think about the Apple App Store and games apps, they are curating, promoting, listing, distributing more. You actually have an important role as like being the curator of what's being built on your ecosystem and what you want to show the people, being on Mega, being on any other chain, and what the first impression of that's going to be. And then why not take the next step and also be supportive in that building process and in that come up?
Yeah, I mean, Abstract is going through this, right? Like Abstract has their global wallet and they showcase applications on the chain itself. We don't have a lot of very good portals that like one-stop shops to show you like everything that's available on the underlying ecosystem. So like Abstract's been doing that, and having to showcase apps means you have to expose yourself to risk because you're the ones that are advocating for people to use this thing, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So if you're like featured versus if you're just like brought to the top as trending. And Abstract had that issue with it was a front end that was exploited or exploitable with session keys back in the day. So, you know, it was even with Abstract making them get their contracts audited and shit, their front end sucked. So because of that, Abstract was the one pointing people to an app that ultimately lost them money, right? Because they were able to use the session keys to take out more or pay themselves in more than what was actually being paid, something like that. So like it sucks. Like to endorse something that gets got. It's just it's a hard balance.
It does, yeah. On the other hand, if you look at the Hype EVM ecosystem, that's the final comment on that before we have to move on. Hype EVM is difficult to navigate. There's
Sucks.
no exploration. You have to know about the protocols, and you have to. It's like navigating dark web sometimes because you don't have this curated experience, and you have to know the URLs and like projects.
Everything is a blind sign. It fucking sucks. I like when you pointed me to that liminal stuff to like do the delta neutral shit. I'm like, I'm signing these transactions. Like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is doing. I think it's taking $5,000 from me. I don't know if it's actually taking. It didn't ultimately. I don't think. I'm not even positive. It's a couple weeks later, like I was just signing shit because everything is so friction full. Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great experience right now.
Agree. Moving back to the snapshot and taking a look at some notable sales. We had this. Oh, nope. We had this CryptoPunk selling for 50 ETH, and we had one seller dumping 81 miladies in one clip, with bids being accepted as low as 50% below the floor. Unsurprisingly, that means that miladies are down 6%, 6.5% on the day. Other majors are a bit indifferent to the other news. Pudgy's up 0.3%. Apes are down just 1.9%. Moonbirds still at the 0.6 ETH floor. Doodles had a bit of a stronger move down, 6% down, but nothing. Azukis are basically unchanged, still at 2.2 ETH.
Patrons holding up strong.
Yep, they corrected down all the way to 1.5 ETH, I think. Yeah, we have the chat overlaying that, but it was like 1.5 ETH over last week, and they are back to ETH now. Yeah, I missed buying one. I missed buying the dip, unfortunately.
Would you have?
Yes. I was trying to get one with Lucky Buy this morning on Magic Eden. Was trying to gamble for one.
You've got some stink bids.
That is probably the more reasonable thing to do than trying to gamble for all of your NFTs. Taking a look at the rest of...
You've had luck with them though. So like I've seen you post like 3 times like, oh, I got another one because of lucky bid. I don't know how much you actually, if it's like net positive. I believe it is because I know you, so you wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't net positive for you. So I mean, keep going.
I got lucky. I got lucky in them. I got another Bad Buns, by the way, this morning, and posted this afternoon. I'm like at Bad Buns number 28, so I need 2 more, and I have 1% of the supply.
Unreal.
Going to the Web3 roundup to bring you the news from the rest of the space, starting again with Coinbase. Quite a lot of news coming from Coinbase. They also introduced a card partnership with American Express to offer up to 4% cashback in BTC on every buy. Really love to have the card. DeFi Dive Corp announcing a $5 billion equity line to accumulate more Solana. First public company adding Hype to its treasury. Tony G Co-Investment Holdings purchased 10K Hype. We mentioned it quickly. Tether acquiring a stake in Elemental Altus, a publicly listed gold-focused royalty company based in Canada. Jupiter buying Interact to bring the brand coin to Solana. And that's the news I like a lot. Gold is now tradable on Hyperliquid via Tether's gold-backed token, which we spoke about, I think, a week or so again. And there's already liquidity pools, obviously, forming around that. And I would...
What's the ticker on that one? Is it already trading?
XAUT0. Beautiful ticker.
800,000 in volume.
Nice. Kind of was looking for a nice pair to get some BTC and gold paired up, and just to farm that for a bit.
Man, there's so much red on the board. This is gross.
Is there anything else from the Web3 roundup that you wanted to touch on, or shall we get moving into the main stuff?
Something jumped out at me, but I forgot, so we can just move on.
Gotcha. Then I'll have a small thingy before I'm actually going to grab the first headline, which is something Ryan posted earlier this day. Didn't make it into the snapshot, but I thought it was interesting. And it is that Walmart and Amazon are exploring launching their own stable coins as well.
It's just too profitable. It's lazy, passive, profitable tech. I wonder if this means Paxos is like, because Paxos is the one that does they're the company out in New York City that does like the white labeling of stables. If Paxos is actually going to do really well, I don't know if it's publicly traded or not, but if people end up like just continuously rolling through them because they can just spin up a stable coin for any local jurisdiction or company, then they might be something worth looking into if they end up facilitating a lot of this.
I think that's a very good point, because we've seen more and more companies, banks, etc., spinning up their own stablecoins. And the question is exactly
States as well. Remember, was it like Wisconsin or some shit?
And the question is exactly like what the play there is, how you can profit from that. Funky, I see you with your hand up. What are your thoughts on the stablecoin discussion?
No, just real quick. So this is something that's a key point to remember, that Paxos is regulated at the state level in New York, and New York is notoriously anti-crypto, like with the bit license stuff and everything else. So just the fact that they have a regulatory body saying like, yes, we're okay with this, because that's why I used to hold a lot of USDP when they rebranded to that for the Paxos dollar. It's, if they're going to be the white label solution for this, because they were BUSD before all that got tanked, like that could be huge for them. So it's just.
Do you know if they're publicly traded?
I don't think so, Brett, but I'm going to check now that you guys brought it up, because I don't believe that's the case though.
Nope, not publicly traded. Alrighty, unless Brett, you want to say anything else on that?
Not on that. It's just like literally everything is getting murdered. So I'm walking you guys through my own fucking head with this. So like I was a little worried about the Kaito stuff, but like, dude, everything is getting just shellacked right now. Like if you just go based on the 24-hour percentage change, like I have to scroll for a while to get to the 10% that is Kaito. So it's like, okay, it's like relative to the field, like literally everything's bleeding out right now because we're all dying. So, it's not so much commentary on any specific token. It's just like people are pulling liquidity out of whatever they can. And the strongest one being Hype is actually really like, I'm not a trader, but like, you always read, like, see where the market shows strength in moments like this. And that usually is indicative of where stuff will return going forward. So taking notes, but it's not on an island getting beat up. Everything's getting beat up really bad right now, as far as I can tell.
That is the segue for me to take the main headline. So what has happened? Why is the market bleeding? Unprecedented strike from Israel on Iran targeted the nuclear program military leaders in an attack that killed the commander-in-chief of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, that killed the major general, being the highest ranking military officer in Iran, that I think also killed 6 nuclear scientists, and also did strike the main uranium enrichment facility in Iran as well. That operation was executed overnight with more than 200 fighter jets being used in that. Israel also spoke about that this will continue, that potentially also ground forces will be deployed to continue that Operation Rising Lion. Iran, unsurprisingly, is retaliating. They did send over 100 drones towards Israeli territory, but all those drones have been intercepted so far. And Iran has also been speaking about the fact that they see this as a declaration of war. President Trump did react to that on Truth Social as well, saying that he gave Iran a chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words, and I'm quoting here, to just do it, but no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know. Anticipated or were told that the United States make the best, most lethal military equipment in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it. And he just continues on that theme in his post that I'm having up on screen. In terms of the price action, you said it, Brett, a lot of bleeding, also a lot of liquidated volume over the last 24 hours, more than
what a mindfuck chart. This is a liquidation map. So you see this. So for people not looking at the screen, he pulled it up. He's like, oh yeah, everything's dying. And you'll get a screen, BTC, ETH, others, everything's bright green. Like it looks great if you are trying to tap into the thing and say, but it's liquidations. So it's like, this is the amount of money that is getting like taken from people because they're losing their positions because prices have gone down so much. And they were like bullish or it's the opposite of the direction that they bet on. It could be if you were short and it actually ended up increasing in price, or if you were long and ended up decreasing in price. In this case, these are all people that were long, and the tokens fell so hard that they got liquidated heavily, and it's vibrant green.
Yeah, liquidated longs are green, liquidated shorts are red. That's a bit irritating if you're not familiar with that type of chart. Just to put these numbers into perspective, so over the last 24 hours, 1 billion in longs being liquidated, 450 mil of which BTC, 300 mil ETH, 50 mil in Solana, and 100, what is it? 126 plus, 175 mil in other tokens basically being liquidated over the last 24 hours. Looking at the stock market, pre-market is down a bit across the board. Dow is down 1%, S&P 500 is down 1%, Nasdaq futures are down 1.3%. Unsurprisingly, gold likes that news. Gold is up 1.2% over the day, up 5% over the last 30 days, and currently at 3.4K for a fine ounce of gold. Also taking a look at some of the prediction markets when it comes to Iran. So there's three main prediction markets I quickly want to touch on. US military action against Iran before July, because US said they don't really want to get involved. We had the news yesterday that they're removing personnel from the Middle East, yet Polymarket at $1.5 million of volume sees a 33% chance at the moment. That is on the higher side, was as low as 4% a week ago, that there's going to be military action against Iran before July. Iran strike on Israel by Friday. It's currently a 50-50. Drones, etc., do count for that, but they need to enter Israel's airspace in order to constitute a strike. But Iran striking on Israel in June is almost a certainty that is sitting at a 90% chance at the moment. In terms of what this means for the market, DC Investor had a thought on that, which I agree with. He says, an Iran conflict does not affect my crypto thesis. Only worry is if oil prices stay high, does it contribute to inflation, which makes the Fed skittish about cutting rates? Otherwise, I simply choose to not give a fuck. In terms of the market thesis, I mostly agree with that. I think AIXPT had some interesting data on that as well. I had a post on that in the morning, just quickly. There we go. Where is it? Israel-Iran conflict. We said liquidations. BTC did bounce 9.4% from 100.7K to 110K in 4 days. Russia-Ukraine, BTC ran from 42K to 69K after the initial shock. And the current setup is, again, the same liquidation amount, $1 billion being liquidated, which we just said, and BTC at 103K. So AXPT, looking at the data, is thinking that once this shock gets digested, the market could recover from that fairly quickly. Brett, any thoughts on that? Any positioning for yourself on that based on that news?
Fuck, I hate I'm gonna say this. I'm actually thinking I think I might load up some collateral and look to catch a little bit of a bounce here and maybe do a little bit of long at the bottom. I mean, obviously, all my stuff is super collateralized. I'm not doing heavy degen shit where my liquidation level is 10% below, or even 30% below the thing. I'm pretty heavily collateralized because I don't want to be fucking up. I'm just playing around, trying to get the feel of this stuff. But this is how it always plays out in my memory recall. It's whenever you start to get a little scaredy, that things are only going to go down, right? It's down 10%. It's probably going to go down another 10%. It's usually whenever everyone it actually corrects and turns around, gives yourself a little bit of bounce. So I don't know, man. I think I might actually try to knowing this is the emotion I'm feeling in myself right now of fuck, I should close this position. I should get out of here. I should stop. I should, look to shore up. Is okay, maybe this is the time to actually inverse myself and go a little long.
Interesting. What did I do? I did buy the Hyperliquid, quote unquote dip. It's not really a dip. It went to 30.
I saw it at 40, 38.
Yeah, and now it's at 40. But I did buy it with some significant size. I think you said it perfectly on this show. Look at the things that are showing strength when it comes to shocking news like that. And that is probably pretty likely to bounce the hardest. Also, English in the comments is saying everyone is buying this dip. No one is scared. He's been buying the fart dip.
What a sentence.
Love it. But yeah, apart from that, I'm not too bothered about that, and I don't think I have anything else to say on that other than I bought Hyperliquid. Nothing changes on my thesis. I had the post with DC Investor, which I fully agree with. If you don't have anything to add to this, Brett, do you want to move into the second headline of the day?
Not only does nothing change, like this is probably, I'm looking at fees now. I was like, I bet Hyperliquid's fees have actually increased because of all this craziness going on, right? Like they probably made more money because the trading's getting more volatile. And in these situations, it actually spikes. Looking at the actual 24-hour fees, it's still 4.6 mil. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth on DeFi Llama for fees over the last 24 hours. Behind, God, PancakeSwap is crushing 8 mil. And Meteora at 8 mil, and then the rest, the other two are Circle and Tether, which are stable coins, so they're just always going to infinite print. Yeah, so thesis holds up. All right, yeah, so like talking about the actual headline number 2. So Coinbase and Shopify bring USDC payments on Base to millions of merchants worldwide. This is like that's basically the entire story, and it's just that yesterday Coinbase had a conference where they announced several things. One of them being this, where Shopify just said like during your checkout you can go and pay in USDC facilitated by the Base network. They even have a little visual at the bottom that shows like what it would look like, and there's even a demo. I went to the Coinbase site and saw like what it felt like. And you can like buy a Base t-shirt, and at the end you can click a button that says pay in USDC. And then it's actually kind of funny because they photoshopped this because I saw this and I'm like, what is this an exclusive to Base thing, or is it just like, yeah, see, this is where you can test it. You throw it in your cart, and then cart, and then you can use USDC to pay at the end. But I saw this and I'm like, okay, what is the moat here? Is this like a strong Base / Shopify partnership, or is this something that the module itself can basically just replace any chain that you want, which I think ultimately is going to be the future. Yeah. So you see here, it says pay in crypto USDC. The funny thing is here, you see it just shows the wallets, right? So you do USDC, it says you'll pay with on the Base network right now, but this is obviously a page facilitated by Base, so they can put whatever text they want there. And the Shopify one, they had the Base logo in the actual things to make it look a little more dominant. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of clever marketing going on there to where like, yeah, sure, like USD or Shopify moved first on Base, but like ultimately they're going to like facilitate this they're going to go to where the customers are, right? So if customers want Solana, if they want Ethereum mainnet, if they want Arbitrum, if they want Mega ETH at some point, then like they will just plug into that because it's a 5-second thing to do it. They have the smart contract, they can deploy it. So I saw a little bit of strong Coinbase and Base specific branding on the demo and in that page, but I think this is just like a broad crypto adoption thing that everyone should take note of. Like just more normalization, right? I think they're all over the place. Then it's good for all of us. If everyone has a crypto wallet or even understands what stablecoins even are, that's just great for like destigmatizing this space and getting people, I don't know, maybe their first few tokens.
Very, very good summary and very good point on the very good observation on the Base side of things. If you look at the post by the Shopify CEO, he also said it. Shopify will enable USDC, and he explained USDC being stablecoins on Base in checkout via Shopify Payments and Shop Pay early access today, rollout throughout the year. We think that stablecoins are a natural way to transact on the internet and worked with Coinbase to develop the commerce payment protocol, smart contract, beautiful word, that powers this work. Definitely think that it is the play to lead Base first and make people more aware about Base.
Yeah, of course.
And ultimately, you have to accept as many chains as you can with that.
Yeah, like everyone's going to want exposure, and like we know how messy this ecosystem is, right? There's 1,000 chains. There's now going to be 1,000 stable coins. Everyone's trying to spin up their own. Like all of these things are going to come to market, and everyone wants to try to get their share of it. So you have to think about the incentives. And like for Shopify, they don't really have an allegiance to anyone. They just want their customers to be able to spend money, right? So whether it's USDC or USDT or whatever, they want to reduce as much friction as possible. So if it's deploying on Solana because so many people ask for it, like they're gonna fucking do it unless they like have an actual explicit commercial agreement with Coinbase to where, because they help them set up, they have like a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, whatever agreement to only sell on Base network, which is bullish Base, but we don't have any way to get exposure to Base outside of like Coin, the stock, right? So it's good for that thesis if you're still a coin holder. But I'm actually starting to. Funky doesn't want to hear this. I'm starting to wane a little bit on that now with seeing so much development and like how much of a killer Vlad is with Hood. Hood just flipped Base, our Coinbase, and market cap. I think we're around 68 bill. And I think Coinbase was 64 bill. So I'm thinking about diversifying my portfolio a little bit, just a little bit of kill myself insurance. I don't want Hood to step in and flip me and keep running the next year. Because I think it was a year ago today, I was looking at it. Hood was like $30 and Coinbase was, I think it's gained like roughly 100% on Coinbase over that time frame. So not awesome. I don't want it to run away on me. It's got a little bit of a Ethereum / Sol vibe to it. Yeah, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think Coinbase has to decide what they want to focus on, what they want to lead with. Is it
messy?
Yeah, is it payment integrations or is it like pushing Base? And there is a bit of a conflict of interest when it comes to the two of those. If you want to push integrations for payments as broadly as you can't be so restrictive and to only focus on Base exclusively. But Funky obviously has his hand up after you summoned him, basically. So Funky, what are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's to Brett's point. I took a small position in Hood. I had some trader friends who were just looking at it when it was really starting to rip. So I added some to my
recently?
wife's IRA a couple months ago, maybe. So, I mean, and not some like massively meaningful position, but just to have some kind of exposure. It doesn't come close to what we have in coin, for instance. But just to your point, the other thing too, I mean, I still really bullish long term on Coinbase, right? I feel like they have so many other tailwinds and network effects and first mover advantage and that kind of stuff. But we've seen many times in many industries where you have that moat and it doesn't necessarily last. So, I think it's good to have exposure to both. And in all the other Coinbase news too, one of the things that I know Beach had covered it in the snapshot that I was excited about as an Amex Maxi is the new Coinbase
I was
card.
going to say, you're getting that 4% BTC. People like you salivating.
Here's the thing though, because we used to have the only time we had in our brief stint of our Amex Maxiness was when
Can you give everyone in the audience a quick breakdown of what they announced, just so to set the
Yeah,
stage?
so you basically have to be a Coinbase One customer, which I already am because you save on fees and stuff like that. So it's for Coinbase One customers. It's a credit card that's backed by Amex. It's only a $49 annual fee. And here's the thing though, you can earn up to 4% in Bitcoin on every purchase. It actually starts at 2%. And this is where Coinbase gets you. They want you to custody digital assets, and they don't say how much, to get the actual extra percentage. So it's like it shows a little dial where it says 2 to 2.5%, then 2.5 to 3, and then all the way up to 4. They don't reveal how much you need to hold. Now I'm fine with
They just say keep depositing.
Not necessarily keep depositing, but I'm sure there's thresholds, much like in a money market, where you get exposure to higher interest rates depending on how much you keep in the money market in your various credit union or bank account. I'm sure it's going to be something very similar to that. So, I mean, even 2% I'd be happy with, and I'll probably get it just because I'm a huge Amex fan and I love their network and the company and everything else like that. But I'm curious to see what the threshold is because I don't feel too comfortable. Like I keep some digital assets on Coinbase, right? Just for liquidity reasons, whether it's stables or whatnot, but not a whole lot. Even still, I like the vault feature where you can put things in there and you have to have 2 email confirmations to get it out of the vault and you still have to wait 48 hours. Also a very, safe feeling. But I don't think I'm going to put like a whole Bitcoin on there or anything just to get access to 4% or, like I wouldn't go crazy. But I'm still going to get the card regardless, just to add it to the arsenal. And the card looks dope as hell. It's metal and it's got the Genesis hash on it. So super cool looking.
Yeah, I saw that.
You don't know how good. Let me bring a picture of the card up on screen. You don't know how good you have it in the States with the cashback on cards. That is a thing that does not exist in Europe to the same extent. Like it would be unheard of to get 2% cashback on everything. Like the amount of time you have to put in. Yeah. So the amount of time, card looks beautiful. You have to put it in Europe to like get a decent cashback flow going. It's basically, I have 6 to 7 credit cards with different cashback categories, and like some are for groceries, some are like for fueling up my car. Then I have a credit card aggregator, and then I basically am routing transactions depending on what I'm paying through the individual credit card, because I don't want to like carry 7 credit cards. I have like 7 Apple Pay credit cards. So I have all this beautiful setup to get anywhere close to what you can do with like a standard or good, I don't know, Apple has a great credit card as well in terms of cashback. So you really have to jump through a lot of hoops to get to anything similar there. Like even go as far as when I purchase my supplements, I do it with Revolut only via iHerb, because they have a promotional offer that I get like 20 miles for every euro that I spend there. So it's like really difficult to get that. I would love a card like that in Europe, but yeah, we're not gonna have that.
That's crazy. Yeah, like that. I've been doing that shit since I was a kid. Like my parents gave me a credit card to build up my credit score, and then like, yeah, you're like, all right. Like especially as a consultant, I was like, okay, I need the Southwest credit card, I need the American Airlines credit card, I need my Marriott credit card, and then you just double down on the individual, like that. You make those purchases through that card, and then you're swimming. I still have like 60 flights of Southwest flights from all the purchases I made.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting how this is different than what like companies in Europe are trying to, get you to do. For example, Revolut has the Ultra plan, which is like 600 euro a year or so. And then you can deposit like cash that you don't need into it up to 100K and just earn an additional 144,000 miles a year. It's obviously like, the rate increases that you put in. So it's a very, very different market. We only have 5 minutes or so left in the show. So I quickly want to get into the last headline and basically continue this discussion around Coinbase. So last piece of news is, according to Reuters, Coinbase to launch a CFTC compliant perpetual futures trading in the United States. The statement there is, we recently launched a first of its kind 24/7 futures trading. Excited to share that we'll soon be launching CFTC compliant perpetuals trading futures in the US as well. That comes from Coinbase's vice president of product. And that's kind of continuing on the discussion that you two, Brett and Funky, had before, into the direction where Coinbase is heading. Obviously, we had the payment news. We have this like conflict of interest to a certain extent with focusing on Base. Now we have that perp launch as well. And especially on the perp side of things, I feel like it's something we see following the success of Hyperliquid, more and more like large enough platforms, DeFi platforms trying to do, coming up with their own perp exchange. I'm wondering if this is basically following the same path that the L2 meta did, where like every project that was big enough, every game that was big enough was thinking about their own L2 or L3. Do you think we're heading into a similar direction with perps now?
I mean, this is a permissionless system based on incentives. If the incentive is there for someone to spin something up because they can make money on it, they will do so. So whether it's stablecoins, whether it's an L2, whether it's an L3, whether it's a data availability platform, like people are going to do it because there's an incentive to do so. That's why we have 75 different versions of a DEX. That's why we have so yes, of course, everyone will continue to do that. I will say though, as just like a vote of confidence for just like the perps vehicle, that is, I think, widely considered one of like the true innovations of our space that has not been widely proliferated. And I think once traditional finance gets a taste of what perps are, which means that you allow speculators to be able to deal with underlying directional leveraged bets without having to deal with like delivery of like an expiry. Like you not having to have an expiry on this stuff is a pretty big boon, right? And it's just like it's something that's been around for a long time, but never really caught wind until the last few years, and specifically in the crypto space. If you can trade, what is it?
Can you explain what that means? That not having an expiry part?
Yeah. So like in TradFi, right? Yeah, like in TradFi, if you want to get like leveraged exposure on something, right? I could play with options, right? So it's like I can say, and which I am saying, it's like I think Coinbase will be worth $70. This is whenever it wasn't worth $70. I think Coinbase will be worth the stock will be worth $70, but I have to pick a specific date in which that thing is going to be that on a date, like the price of the thing will get to that point. So it's like for me, 2 years ago, I said Coinbase, the stock will be worth $70, December 24th, 2025. Right. So like I had to pick a date, I had to pick a direction, I had to even pick a strike price. And I had to set all those parameters to get a leveraged exposure to it, because it means that I could actually, like, there's someone on the other side of that says like they're betting against me, and more of my money goes further. What happened with perps is that you don't have to pick an expiry. You just have to basically fund it, right? So like it's a two-sided market to where the perpetual future is what it's called. You sit there and you basically pay a funding rate and say, okay, I think this price will be higher than it is today. You establish a position, you set up some collateral, and you basically just pay continuous funding into that position. It's like every day or every hour, typically you pay 75 cents or whatever the funding rate is. So if there's a lot of people that are piled up on one side of it, like a lot of people are long, they're all paying into this, and you can actually be paid to be short, right? To take the other side of the market to try to create a little bit of balance. And I don't have to worry about a specific end date. Like I just can, as long as I can fund the actual position, like with collateral or be collateralized and fund it, then I can hold this thing up open indefinitely. So using Kaito as an example, right? I went long a week or two ago. I'm losing my ass, right? Like it's definitely not higher. It's not a higher price today than it was yesterday. I didn't have to pick a specific date. I just have to say, like, I can continue to fund this position and keep it open with this rate for X amount of time until that is true. Like I don't have to worry about the delivery of the underlying, which is like with stock options, you actually, like, if you're doing with barrels of oil, like if you're trading options on oil, like you could technically be liable for barrels of oil at the end of it. And people don't fucking want that. Like they want to be able to just speculate with leverage on the underlying. So perps is becoming a widely used vehicle in crypto because it is very simple, very elegant. It allows for speculators to do what they want to do without having to deal with the actual underlying, versus a lot of the TradFi vehicles, which are, like, again, options. And I think that, like, once that is more widely usable or understood by TradFi bros, I think it will gain adoption very quickly.
Excellent explainer. Yeah. This is the main difference. You don't have to worry about the expiry date. You don't have to worry if you're in or not in the money, and you just can keep funding that. Like if you think that you are directionally right with your
Market's
bet,
wrong.
Yeah, market's wrong, you're right. You have more
Yeah.
patience than the market. You can like keep funding your bet on Kaito going up eventually, and obviously that attracts more volume to the perp exchange because you can increase your collateral and you just can keep that open. You're gonna pay the funding rate for that to express that thinking of yours, and that creates a very, very strong PE flywheel for the perp decks.
Yep.
And I think that essentially brings us to a close of the show, to a close of the week. Brett, thank you very much for joining me today in the co-host seat. Thank you to everyone in the audience for spending this hour with us. As usual, show's going to be uploaded to Apple Music, going to be uploaded to Spotify. We'll do the clips. We'll get them out on YouTube. We'll have more than 1,000 videos by now posted on YouTube. We're going to do the TikTok shorts. And after the weekend, we're going to be back. Same place, same time, Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, thank you for joining. Have a great weekend and see you on Monday.